close your eyes and think of a world without America in it. It becomes pretty dark, pretty darn quickly.
But we do prefer respect to bullies. We do prefer science to plotism. And we do prefer rule of law to brutality.
Well, the global elites are losing it, like totally losing it, over what President Trump just said, and the buzz about America possibly taking Greenland by any means. This video is absolutely hilarious, everyone. You're going to love it.
Make sure you stick around till the end.
All I ask, and it's totally free, is that you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I'm not holding you hostage. Now, let's jump into the video.
Giving response to President Macron saying he will not join the border meeting.
How can you say that? Well, nobody wants him because he's going to be out of office very soon. You know, that's all right. What I'll do is if they feel like hostile, I'll put a 200% tariff on his wine and champagne, and he'll join. But he doesn't have to join. If he said that, you're probably giving it to me a little bit differently. But if he actually did say that, but as you know, he's going to be out of office in a few months.
It's wild that Trump went this hard on Macron, which, to be fair, wasn't as brutal as he could have been, but still hit the point perfectly. And later, if you haven't seen it already, you'll notice Macron showed up wearing, like, aviator glasses or Ray-Ban bands. I don't know. It was kind of weird.
I don't think they're going to push back too much. Look, we have to have it. They have to have this done. They can't protect it. Denmark, they're wonderful people. And I know the leaders are very good people, but they don't even go there. And, you know, because the boat went there 500 years ago and then left, that doesn't give you title to property. So we'll be talking about it with the various people. We've had tremendous success, and I've done more for NATO than anybody else. I don't think you'd have NATO right now. I got them to go 5% and pay as opposed to 2% and not pay.
Yeah,
I've done
incredible.
more than any other American president for NATO by far. And we'll see how that goes, but Greenland is very important.
It's honestly amazing how much Trump has done in just 1 year of this new term. I mean, it's phenomenal. And that's so true about NATO. Even Canada wasn't paying 2%. It was like 1.6 or 1.4% with a goal of 2% by 2035 or something. And Trump was like, no, you're paying and you're paying more and you're paying now. And every country did. That's real leadership right there.
They go 2030, they are deciding to be subservient to China, who makes the batteries. Why would you do that? Why would the United States of America, which has oil and natural gas, try to convert to all electricity? China does not have oil and natural gas. Electricity and electric cars make perfect sense to them. That is practical and logical. So the point I want to make, and I want people to think about, is that America First is the job of our government to take care of our workers, to make sure their lives are better for it. And then don't be America alone, right? But be America first. And I would suggest that policy is something for other countries to deeply consider, to take care of their own, and then we will work out wonderful relationships between us. But I want to point out, when America shines, the world shines. Close your eyes and think of a world without America in it. It becomes pretty dark, pretty darn quickly. When America shines, right? And everyone said, oh, you're going to do all these tariffs, you're going to destroy the world. The world's stock markets are up. Which ones of them?
It's very true. Without America, without American influence, the world's power balance shifts. And then suddenly, what? We all have to learn Mandarin or Cantonese, and we're using the yen instead of the US dollar. I mean, it's a fact. Lefties, people with purple hair, and those with pronouns, okay, people with the weird nose rings that look like a bull running through the streets of Spain, they'll say otherwise. Yet, stock markets are up, economies are strong, and America is expected to do even better. It's crazy that some are against America thriving. If American influence fails, if people block it, if America can't grow its economy or land, the world goes downhill. And I, for one, don't want to see that.
It is completely different than the WEF. I viewed the WEF as not a flagpole in the middle. but in fact, they are the flag. Whichever way the wind blew, so it blew. You should have solar, you should have wind. Why are you going to do solar and wind? Why would Europe agree to be net zero in 2030 when they don't make a battery? They don't make a battery. So if they go 2030, they are deciding to be subservient to China, who makes the batteries. Why would you do that? Why would the United States of America, which has oil and natural gas, try to convert to all electricity? China does not have oil and natural gas. Electricity and electric cars make perfect sense to them. That is practical and logical.
Yep.
Totally spitting facts here. Spitting facts.
Well, I think you should start at a much higher level. Okay. We are in Davos at the World Economic Forum. And the Trump administration and myself, we are here to make a very clear point. Globalization has failed the West and the United States of America. It's a failed policy. It is what the WEF has stood for, which is export, offshore, far shore, find the cheapest labor in the world, and the world is a better place for it. The fact is, it has left America behind. It has left the American workers behind. And what we are here to say is that America First is a different model, one that we encourage other countries to consider, which is that our workers come first. We can have policies that impact our workers. Sovereignty is your borders. You're entitled to have borders. You shouldn't offshore your medicine. You shouldn't offshore your semiconductors. You shouldn't offshore your entire industrial base and have it be hollowed out beneath you. You should not be dependent.
Really feels like he's speaking directly to Canada here.
Just putting that out there.
For that which is fundamental to your sovereignty on any other nation. And if you're going to be dependent on someone, it darn well better be your best allies. Okay? And so that is a different way of thinking. It is completely different than the WEF. I viewed the WEF as not a flagpole.
Absolutely correct. All these countries saying Russia bad, and they're still buying or selling oil to Russia. I mean, come on.
Give me a break.
These people are nuts. They're just posturing, trying to score political points. It's not really about improving the world or building economic ties with allies. Canada just went to China, and their leaders brought burner phones because they don't trust the Chinese. Yet, they signed a deal for 50,000 Chinese spy mobiles to come to Canada and drive on Canadian streets. It makes no sense. And America is calling it out as they should.
Again, I would say this is the same kind of hysteria that we heard on April 2nd. There was a panic. And what I'm urging everyone here to do is sit back, take a deep breath, and let things play out. As I said on April 2nd, the worst thing countries can do is escalate against the United States.
What do you want to say about the NATO alliance then? I mean, Denmark has been a long ally, the European Union united against any move. How do you progress with what looks like a strategic move for the United States, but also preserve the alliance, the NATO alliance?
Well, look, I think that the NATO alliance is very safe, sound, and thanks to President Trump, it's never been more secure. When President Trump came in his first term, the European countries and Canada were not meeting their spending quotas as a percent of GDP. Now they are. They got a lot of catch up to do. And Maria, to put it in perspective, the United States of America since 1980 has contributed $22 trillion more dollars, or spent $22 trillion more dollars on defense than all of NATO. So roughly the same size population, and we have spent $22 trillion more. That is 2/3 of our outstanding government debt. The Europeans have been spending the money on social welfare, on roads, on education, and it's time for them to pay more, which they've agreed to do.
Yep.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
We have Europe buying Russian oil still, Still, 4 years later, they are financing the war against themselves. India started buying Russian oil after the conflict began, but President Trump put a 25% tariff on them, and India has geared down and has stopped buying Russian oil. And then 3, China is a very large buyer of Russian oil, as they are of Iranian oil, as they were of Venezuelan oil. But guess what, Maria? No more Venezuelan oil for them.
And that's how it's done, ladies and gentlemen. You don't go up against the United States and expect to win.
How do you justify taking over a country when, in fact, Denmark and Greenland have said they are not interested?
Well, Maria, I think the president has a very strong view on Western Hemispheric security and believes that the U.S. should not outsource our national security. He believes that Greenland is essential for the Golden Dome missile shield. And he also, the president, as usual, it's the move after the move that as part of NATO, I think the president is worried that if there were an incursion into Greenland, the U.S. would be called upon to defend Greenland. Greenland's becoming more and more attractive for foreign conquest, and he very strongly believes that it must be part of the United States to prevent a conflict rather than getting the U.S. engaged ex post into a hot conflict.
China is welcome, but what we need is more Chinese foreign direct investment in Europe, in some key sectors, to contribute to our growth, to transfer some technologies, and not just to export towards Europe some devices or products which sometimes don't have the same standards or are much more subsidized are the one being produced in Europe.
I feel like his wife, or some people say husband, whacked him on the head with a baguette, and now he sounds weird and has to wear these glasses to protect his eyes. Oh my goodness.
The 3 pillars of our strategy in order to deliver more sovereignty, more efficiency, and more growth would be based on protection, simplification, and investment. Because the diagnosis is well known, European competitiveness still lags behind that of the US, and in the current global order, facing precisely the Chinese approach, we have to react. So first, protection. Protection doesn't mean protectionism. But today's Europeans are too naive. This is the unique market open to everybody without checking level playing field. Nobody can access the Chinese market as people are accessing the European market for sure. But even if you take the US and a lot of other countries, the level of protection does exist for investment and trade. And the Europeans are the only one not to protect their own companies and their own markets when the other countries doesn't respect level playing field. This is why we have to be much more realistic if we want to protect our chemical industry, our industry, from the automotive sectors to a lot of others, because they are being literally killed by the lack of respect of a normal framework and level playing field. We do believe that we need more growth, we need more stability in this world, but we do prefer respect to bullies, we do prefer science to plotism, and we do prefer rule of law to brutality. When we look at the situation, it's clearly a very concerning time, because we are killing the structure where we can fix the situation and the common challenges we have. Without collective governance, cooperation gives way to relentless competition. Competition from the United States of America through trade agreements that undermine our export interests, demand maximum concessions, and openly aim to weaken and subordinate Europe, combined with an endless accumulation of new tariffs that are fundamentally unacceptable, even more so when they are used as leverage against territorial sovereignty.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's the video.
I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did.
It would be awesome if you guys take a moment right now to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you all